Hello everyone, Sientir here with another Rambler for you, and today I'm going to kind of finish out this May month talking about myself sort of set of Ramblers, and this last one I decided it would make sense to talk about kind of my dreams or aspirations, or also just things that really appeal to me aesthetically or what I want from society, stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by just talking about a mental image that I have of kind of where I want to be as a human being, what I call my picture of a powerful man or a powerful person. If you want to make it a bit more generic, I'm male, so I think of it as powerful man. Feel free to kind of adjust to whatever you are. Anyway, the image that I have is, it's kind of an interesting sort of mental picture, but it's somebody who has a lot of willpower, so they're able to kind of do the things that they want to do instead of getting dragged down with the things that they don't necessarily want to do as much as the things that they do want to do. But they also have an interesting relationship with other people, in so much as it's a bit wrong to say they don't care what other people think about them, but they won't let that stop them from doing what they think that they should be doing or want to be doing. It's this interesting sort of balance, and I think it's kind of this biblical picture of loving other people, but also not being bowed to the whims of other people. This sort of idea of sometimes it's just, I'm sorry that it can't work out better, where they will listen to what other people care about and need and those sorts of things, but at the same time, not made enslaved to what other people think or want, those sorts of things. I guess I'm not explaining this as well as I would like, but it's one of those things where I have kind of a gestalt feeling of what it looks like. And the key factors of it are not needing other people, but rather being able to love them freely, but not needing them, which I think is kind of a significant concept. And then the other one is having the willpower to be able to kind of do what this powerful person puts their mind to. Not that there's not struggle or difficulty, but that there's a level of perseverance that is uncowable, that can't be stopped. And that sort of picture to me is one that I want to work towards. And to me, this person is very connected to God and loves other people but isn't ruled by other people. So it's a very complicated sort of thing as I kind of try to spell it out, but it's something that I aspire to. Other things that I kind of think about or want. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move through these in just kind of a random order. So aesthetically, I really like variation. In particular, I like strong, vivid colors and lots of different types of contrasts, and strong lighting is part of that, but also kind of visual contrast. But I also like having things changed up. When I've thought about a dream house, I think a dream house, kind of coming up with what you want for a dream house, is an interesting exercise in that it forces you to examine what things you like and why in terms of the habitat that you're in. So there's a number of things that I'd really like with this dream house that I've kind of been thinking about. So there's a couple of important structures, and kind of the main key feature is a courtyard in the middle of the house. The reason for this courtyard is kind of multifactorial, but the reason why it's in the middle of the house is in part because it's a centerpiece, and in part because I'm a nudist and I want to have an area where I can be nude outside without being in anyone's sort of way, as it were. And this would give me a place where I could kind of be private in that and not cause consternation to others. So that's part of why a courtyard is appealing. I also like the sort of visual centerpiece that it provides and the light that it can provide, because I envision the courtyard being surrounded by windows, like just full-length windows and hallway going around it. And then I see kind of coming off of this a very open kitchen with like sunroofs, or a dining area with like sunroofs and stuff where the light really comes in really well. Kind of a Japanese onsen-inspired room kind of opposite that, designed to receive the setting sun, whereas the dining area is designed to receive the rising sun. And then I have a vision of an entryway with, or maybe the dining area was along the south side. I think the dining area was along the south side. But anyway, an entryway where there's a bunch of artwork lining the walls, and it's kind of a white paint on the walls and an artwork lining it. And then I envision kind of opposite the onsen type area, a room that's inspired by the room in Cloud City where Han and Leia are temporarily in Star Wars Episode 5 before they're like betrayed by Vader, sort of, or betrayed to Vader, I suppose is more accurate. That sort of aesthetic I think is really appealing. I'd actually really like some wall sort of art thing that has light behind it that has that sort of Cloud City look. So it can kind of look like it's a window to Cloud City. I think that would be really cool in some areas, but I kind of envision that as a general like entertainment room or whatever, and then like some office off to the side and kitchen and things like that. And then I like the idea of some hallways that kind of mimic the Millennium Falcon. I think that's a really cool look. And then I like the idea of like some bedrooms, one of which looks like a forest, another which looks like a cave. And I just like the idea of areas that have very different aesthetic feels throughout the house. One of the things that I really appreciate about one of the houses that principally most of my growing up memories are in was that there was a number of rooms that had very different looks. My sister's room, well, first of all, my sister and myself each kind of got to pick what our rooms looked like. Her room was kind of a fantasy field area, and so she had a green carpet, and my mom, or our mom, I suppose, had painted some very lovely murals around the wall. There's a bit of a papier-mâché tree coming out of part of the wall, mostly like a branch or whatever, but then there's like these leaves on it. There's a unicorn painted on the wall. My room was ocean themed, so I had kind of a sandy carpet color, kind of a orangish brownish color, and there was different sea animal toys nailed to the wall and kind of a wave texture part way up at the height of a bunk bed that I had. And then there was also above the window, there was like a net with shells and stuff in it and a shark jaw in the middle and stuff. It had a very strong sort of aesthetic difference. Most of the house itself had kind of like a brown carpet or whatever, but there's also a library that had kind of deep greens and reds, I guess, kind of like purpley red. But it's a really beautiful room, kind of, I guess, kind of deep greens and browns in a way. But it had a very sort of stately nature to it. We had a kitchen that had a different sort of feel. My mom had an upper room. And then in the basement, there was a finished room that my dad had finished that had like a wood paneling on it. So there's a bunch of different aesthetics throughout the house. And that's something that I really liked. It's something that I want to have turned up even higher in a house that I have. One of the other things that I really like, just kind of continuing on the aesthetics train, is I really like the aesthetics of golden light, kind of a gilded light that you see during sunset. That sort of light I really like, especially when there's trees and like grass for it to kind of create neat shadows on. That sort of thing is something that appeals to me a lot as well. It's interesting, actually, just kind of connected to that. There's a couple of mental pictures that I have from dreams that really have a strong visual appeal to me. One is ruins, kind of like a stone ruins in some of this very strong golden light. Another is just like an apartment building or skyscraper of some kind that is next to a thing of water or something, kind of like on the shore. And there's also a lot of that brilliant golden light. These are both images from dreams that I remember that connect very strongly with me and just being absolutely beautiful. I also actually wanted to talk some about what I want from a society, because I think that this is very interesting, and this is kind of what I would want to move towards, if at all possible, within this human society. So the first one is to have a respect and dignity for individual human beings. The individual can very easily get lost in a large collective, but each individual person matters to that person and the people who love them. And having a society that's modeled after that, it to me is sort of the foundation. It's this mutual love between people, this mutual community. And then you build up from that idea where people are allowed to be individuals, but they don't do that for themselves per se. But they also, this is kind of the model that I see paradise or heaven or whatever you want to call it following as laid out in the Bible. But this idea that people respect each other's individuality, but they also want to love each other. So it's this kind of picture, and it's fragile, but where each person, rather than being concerned about their own needs, is concerned about everyone else's needs, everyone around them, the people they care about and love. And in turn, those people care about theirs. And so people are taken care of, not because they're worried about making sure that they're doing okay, but because everyone else is. And in turn, they care about everyone else. This to me is a very beautiful picture. It might sound intimidating to some, but it's something that I think it doesn't quite work this side of paradise because people are too flawed. Selfishness, it just a little bit breaks the symmetry, and that makes the whole system collapse, because then people have to protect themselves. They have to make sure that they're being looked after. Instead of looking after other people, people start having to look after themselves, and it's an unfortunate side effect of the way that the world works, but unfortunately we can't get away from it here, I don't think. Anyway, those are some of the thoughts. I guess just generally speaking also, I should state that from art, I particularly like statues, but I also really like the human figure in art, the nude human figure especially, and I think that there's a lot of beauty in the shape of the human figure. I always appreciate when care is taken to demonstrate it in its humanity, not try to make it into something kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A falsehood, I suppose, but something that explores the breadth of humanity. I really like art that goes for that and that goes for strong lighting aesthetics, things like that, strong colors. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts, some of what I aspire to, some of what I like, some of my dreams and aspirations. I should actually go more towards, like, what do I want to try to specifically accomplish? I want a community where people can be mutually respectful of each other and listen. A community that listens to each other and tries to learn from each other's experiences, that doesn't automatically assume its viewpoint is a correct one, that wants to understand the culture of others, but also has some rooting in common decency. There's an importance to respecting other people that I think should be at the root of any good culture. And a culture that doesn't respect others is something that I'm leery of. So what I want is I want to be able to foster a community where that can happen, where people can be mutually respectful of each other, try to learn from each other's viewpoints, and demonstrate love towards each other in a general love of each other's humanity sense, which I think is perhaps the most significant form of love. And I would like to just have people that can share the things that they love with each other as well, and to be able to share what they love about it, and even the things that they wish were better, so that way we can learn from each other as well, and learn what each other like and desire. So those are some of my thoughts, and this is the point where I wrap things up with my wrap-up. So you can like me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sientir'sRamblers. You can email me directly at sientir@gmail.com, and you can support me financially at patreon.com/Sientir. Until next time, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.